Welcome everybody to another edition of our Perfect Fit weekly webinar for Tuesday, January 17th, 2023. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about placement zone depth. Problem is we cannot view items on the plan view, but we can view them on the render. So let's go ahead and open up our 2020 and let's create a reach-in closet, 24 inches deep, and let's say 80 inches wide and 24 inches deep again. And I've got my three walls, wall 1, 2, and 3. You can see that I have three different zone placements, wall 1, wall 2, and wall 3. The first solution to any drawing is to always subtract any placement zones that are not in use. To do this, we're going to right-click on the wall on the top view. We're going to go into our properties. We're going to select our wall, select the type tab, and deselect the placement zone that is not in use. So let's go ahead and add my note here on the side. I'm not going to put anything on wall number 1 nor wall number 3. So I'm going to subtract those placement zones. So whenever I make a design, that's always the first item that I want to change and configure my walls. If I right-click anywhere on the gray wall itself, I'm going to go to my wall group and select Properties. Another dialog box will appear. I can select wall 1 in its entirety and change the properties, or individually select walls. I can select on wall number 1. I can see on the background that wall 1 is highlighted in green. I'm now going to right-click on I'm going to go into Properties now. And in our Properties, select the wall. So wall 1 is selected. And now select the Type tab. So right here in our Type tab, and let's take a quick peek. So this is my placement zone. I have it inside that's selected and outside is deselected. If I select on the outside, I now have two zone placements, outside and inside. If I deselect it, it's subtracted, and placement zone inside, I can deselect it, and now it's gone. I can then go into my wall 3. It's currently highlighted in the background in green, and I can do the same thing. I'm already in the Type tab, and the zone, I'm going to deselect the inside placement zone, and it is gone. I'll click on Apply and OK. And now I only have one zone placement, or placement zone depth. Let's go ahead and double select and create our elevation. And let's go ahead into our categories, modules, and let's add a module. And drag a tall module, drop it in as normal. And we're just going to go ahead and make this one 24 inches deep and 14 inches deep and 24 inches wide. We'll select OK, and we're going to drop this module. I'm going to go ahead into my categories, parts, and let's go ahead and add a drawer as an example. I can see the drawer fronts and anything inside the placement zone. So that's anything inside the blue dots I can physically see on our elevation. If I change my module depth, I go into my attributes, and now let's change this module to 24 inches deep. We'll click on Apply and OK. Now I am outside my placement zone. On this portion, you can see that I can no longer see the drawer front. It's still there. I can verify and go into my render. I can verify that I can still see it here in my render because it's actually there, but I can't see it on my elevation view because I'm protruding past the placement zone depth. I can now change my placement zone. So how do we fix this? we have to go into our placement zones and extend this line to go further and past this draw front. I am currently 24 3/4 past the back wall. So I need to move this placement zone depth further than 24 3/4. If I add an actual drawer front with an actual handle, it's going to be even further out. And I'd like to see that in my elevation. So let's find our solution number 2. For solution number 2, we're going to change the placement zone depth. As instructed, we're going to click on File, select Preferences, and now we're going to go into Walls and Construction Lines, so Wall and Construction Lines, and Placement Zone Depth, and we're going to change this. So my current placement zone depth is 16 inches deep. I need to make this greater than 24 3/4 for me to view this. And I'll make this one 25 inches deep. We'll click on Apply. Okay. And now I can actually see the drawer front. And that's my fix for solution 2. To conclude our webinar, placement zone depths can be a challenge if you cannot view your items on the plan view, but can view them on the render. I always want to recommend to all our dealers to always subtract any walls that are not in use and to physically change the zone placement depth using solution number 2. Thank you, everyone. If you have any other questions, please contact us at support@perfectfitcanada.com.